welcome to the Mrs. Papers. Today we're going to talk about wargaming and depression and how it could benefit you to actually paint some models and play a game with people. Or how it might even hinder you. But before we get into the topic of the day, I want to start off with a little bit of my hobby progress. Now, I said on Facebook that I was taking a little break from the Night Titan because I've been looking at it, I'm staring at it too closely, and I need a little bit of a palette cleanse so I can come up with the fresh eyes. And to be able to do the project with these fresh eyes, so I can catch all the details that I missed, because I'm always looking and analyzing. What did I miss? What can I add? What can I bring to the 10th level? What can I really get into that? I really want to see, be able to win a goal at a master's level at some point in my life. That would be my goal, I guess, to win a competition to gain a bronze medal at this point would be amazing, like blow my mind. But you go for the gold, right? At some point. Hopefully, you shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you'll still land upon the stars, right? And that's what I hope. So let's talk a little bit about that hobby progress. So since I took a break on the night, and I'm going to show you what I've done with the plinth right now, because I do have it, and it's right here. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this is smooth. I mean, this is smooth. This is like so smooth. It's the smoothest, silkiest, smoothest piece of plywood you've ever seen. And I was caking it, but there it is. Yeah, oval shape, and it's gonna fit in there. I'm gonna have like an inch around. I do have to paint this. I'm gonna paint it black, I think, or maybe gray. Or I'm gonna primer it. Hopefully I can get some filling primer, because when you paint wood or something like that, wood is porous. It's a porous material and likes to suck up the paint. So you got to get something that's either self-etching or some filler primer, and it'll fill all that in, gives you a nice layer of primer, and then I can paint it. Possibly the rim of my base for my Space Wolves, I can paint it the rim so this way it kind of blends into it and become part of the plinth. Then I'm gonna have to get something and make something for there so I can put the title of my piece on here, just to finish it off. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Possibly some a little bit of aluminum work and just bend it into place after I etch. I could take it to an etcher, or I can etch it myself. There you go. I could do that too. I have a Dremel tool and a steady hand, somewhat. Not really. I have a shaky hand, so let's see how that goes. Anywho, Tim snips go a long way, and a little like nailing. Anyway, not working. See how I obsess about this? This is why I'm not working on the Night Titan, because I will become obsessed with it. Right? All right, so time for some of this hobby progress, some of this distraction from the Night Titan. So I'll start off with the class that I taught this weekend, right? We started off painting, we were doing the Farstriders, which for those of you who don't know, Warhammer Underworld. I had this box here, and a friend of mine suggested, well, why don't you, do a class, we paint one up to full from beginning to end throughout the entire class, but use Warhammer Underworld's kits, because they're relatively small. We finish the kit and people walk away with something that they can use. I thought that was a great idea, and we've been working on it. It's been taking a lot longer because my process takes I call a speed paint, 5-10 hours later, and it's like getting there. You're getting there, but that's speed for me, because 100, 200 hours on something would be something going to town with. And the Night Titan is approaching. Is approaching, if you count all the hours spent in conceptualizing. Stop talking about the Night Titan, Rob. All right. Obsessed. All right, so I finished the first class, and I think I showed you before, and I will be doing a showcase. I'll be, when I get my computer completed, I'll be actually getting showcase videos. I think that would be good to get myself, to acquaint myself with Premiere Pro and how to use, After Effects and stuff like that. So, yeah. So I'm going to be showcasing all of these. So hopefully you can see it somewhat well here. Yeah, definitely. This is my tabletop standard, um, because I won't put anything less than something like this on a tabletop, and that's fun. Um, and here's what we did uh, this week. So I got the bird going in, and hopefully it comes true. Like this color that I'm worried about, I want it to be a minty green, and this being a blue and having a stark difference. So it's really starting to get nervous about that, but I think it really comes across well. This is minty green, this is blue, and there's some purple in it, and of course, edge highlighting on the bird and everything else, doing a lot of the different details on it. It was a lot of fun putting in some dry leaves inside there, because, you gotta have dry leaves in there. Really fun models to put together. I'm not crazy about the easy to build, because easy to build doesn't really translate into easy to paint, because it's in weird angles. When you press fit the models together, green stuff is going to have to do. And if I paint in sub-assemblies at that point, I'm going to have to just green stuff that with a little thin coat. You ever make a sausage of green stuff, how you make sausages with Play-Doh, you kind of roll it out on a table and kind of, you do that with the green stuff, right? And I put a little bit of epoxy sculpt in there to make it softer. There's a tip. And then it's more workable that way, and I put it into the recesses, and I cut off the excess with the X-Acto blade, being really careful. And then I'll just like thinly prime over that piece and just paint that strip where the gap is, and done. That's it. So it's a process to me, but it's a process I not necessarily have to do if it were in like multiple pieces where I could sub-assemble it and then be able to put it together and be able to really paint each portion, and do my green stuffing ahead of time, so I don't have to do it down the road while it's already mostly base coated and painted and having the highlights and everything in there. But yeah, so really like this, and I'm kind of liking the way it came out. We have one more in the series, so in 2 weeks I'm going to do another class, and we're going to finish the Warband. So we got that going on, and it'll be designed. So I got to do that one there. So working on the Forest Riders, which is really inspiring me to get my Stormcast Eternal Celestial Vindicators army painted. But I do miss my Space Wolves because I've been working on the night for so long. Stop obsessing about the night. All right, some more hobby progress to get distracted with is the Garden of Moor. Yeah, this is a great set. And I just, quickly painted up. Left that gate open just a little bit. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, look at that. Skulls going on there. Pretty cool model. I left a green glow on the skulls. Painted that up pretty well. And here's just the gate. I like the little crow in there. Again, terrain. I have little green patches in there. That's my own flair to it. Also, I have multiple pieces here showing off that gate, and you can really see the green on that one, right? I think so. All right, so showing off that gate, a lot of detail. Honestly, I have a cemetery from Reaper Bones, and the level of detail is nowhere near. This is so much better. Level of detail and the craftsmanship they put into it. And only because I like to paint things to, well, what other people say, it's a higher level. With me, that's my standard. What I feel my tabletop standard is. This is all playable. If you see other people's, like Vince Venturella's tabletop standard, he's like, I'm gonna play with this. This is not. I think he did the Keeper of Secrets. It's like, I'm gonna play with this. Yeah. I watch your videos. Okay, I'm glued to them, and and his stuff is really blow your mind amazing. But as artists, we're most critical of our own work. So if you ask him, he'll be like, yeah, it's all right. So he's like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. And some people, I do my work and they're like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. Brian, my friend Brian, came over. He was like, I know you painting to your tabletop standard, but I really think it's awesome. And I'm like honored. Like, I don't feel like I'm that good at all. I know I do want to let people know that it's not as difficult as you think to paint these things. I know in the 90s I had a lot of, and I'm going to keep going through these as I talk. I had a lot of, downs when it comes to miniature painting, because it was terrible. This little gate is neat. Age of Sigmar symbol, but it's kind of like melting away. I love that. Roses are done with 4 colors of red. More started off with a burgundy, little airbrush touches so you can have like a stain on the wall, because I want to get a stain, like water dripped on and some of the pigments jumping off. I think it's ethereal. I like it. And then, going into a base color with a dark red and then a highlight red, just to do that. And the leaves, I ended up with a little bit of Scorpino green, but it's glazed in just on the tips here and there. You can hardly notice, but the glaze, I made it really, really thin, and I put it on the skulls just to give it a green glow. All the skulls have that green kind of glaze for the Scorpino green. Really brings out that, yeah, they're dead. They're just not spiking. This is supposed to be in Shaish, the realm of the dead, and it's supposed to be for my legions of Nagash army. So everything that gets close to it is, I wanted to have like that dead energy coming out, and so I was just keeping it thematic. Every time I paint something, you always have to think, how's it going to really fit in the theme of the army, and really, go in a separate direction, but ties it all in. Some of the reds that I used here, I actually used on other models as well. So, I use reds as a spot color for this army, so that's why the roses definitely have to be done. And I do them all mainly the same way. They get the theories. I like the way that it has depth to it when you use multiple layers of paint. People may ask, well, why do you use multiple layers of paint? Because it adds the depth. It adds the characteristic. It makes you keep looking. It's not just red. At first, your eye reads it, and it's red. If you squint and it's fuzzy, yeah, I'm getting that from Vince Venturella. If you squint and it's fuzzy, you get an overall concept of how the colors will lay, how the process will play out, how everything looks. And then you look at the details, and you can just see all the layers of depth within it subtly. All right, and then this right here is done. This is pretty cool. It's pretty tall. I mean, let's get it into a Stormcast turtle, and Stormcast turtles are not small miniatures by any means. But yeah, look at that. That's pretty good. Sigmarite Ruins, if you want to get the whole set, which is 2 of these. Garden of Moor things. It's a great set. Great set to have, and a lot of fun to build. I mean, really. Also, if you want to prep it out, you could do green, edge highlight it with a lighter green if you want. If you're doing red stones, edge highlight with a red. If you're doing blue stones, edge highlight it with a lighter blue. It really just makes it pop. FYI. Also, you may want to put a wash in the recesses where the skulls are, in between everything, just to give that depth. Brown, I put sepia in the back, and I had the green on the top to make the skulls kind of pop. So there you go. So there's that. A lot of fun. Some of the skulls, some of the things I did not paint, but I still did it. I still did a glaze of that green, Scorpino green on it to kind of make it glow just a little bit. But it's very, very subtle. Like, it's glowing, but you'd have to look close then to see it glow. And anybody who looks at my work and then takes a second look at my work, and it's that second look. It's that second look that I try to reel you in. Like, the first one is like, oh wow, that's a cool piece. Wow, look at that. There's details. Let me see. Oh my goodness, that's it right there. It's the second look that gets you. I paint for the second look. What? All right. So yeah, and I'm going to be working on these. Haven't finished these yet. There's some of the roses and stuff like that I'm working on here, and I have a whole bunch of the buildings. There are 3 buildings that I have right here. So I'm really going to show this because they're not done. This is the ugly face for these guys, but really, I mean, cool. Look, and you can see inside. There's like things in there. I don't know if you can see. It's probably not, but yeah, this is see-through. See, hi, right? And there's a little crypt in there. Hi. Oh, this is weird. Anyway, we're gonna bring this up to a high level of detail as well, and I'll probably show it for the next hobby progress when I'm done with that. This sucker too, just pretty cool. The little bell and stuff like that. Awesome. All right, so there it is with the Garden of Moor, if you want to say. And that's the hobby progress. All right, next up, time for computer hobby progress. Because I've been doing these talking head videos for a while. Thank you, community, for not letting me give up the channel. Because I'm a very much, like, I believe in signs, So if, like, my computer broke, to me that's a sign I shouldn't make videos anymore. But the community spoke out. I'm like, no, So I've been doing these talking head videos, and I really appreciate all those people that stuck in, and I appreciate the new people that came in. Check out the channel. I'm gonna tell you, this is not what I'm all about. Like, this is just me hanging out. This is what I'm all about, but there's more to my channel. There was a lot more to my channel, and there's going to be a lot more that I have planned for my channel with, you know, better audio, better video, better, you know, skits. I like doing fun skits. My brother, the other day, I was talking to him, and he said, oh man, I remember you doing the 300ZX video, 90s 300ZX video that I did, and I was sanding, and I did a little skit with that, and he said he was just rolling laughing. It's good. It's good to be validated like that. All right, computer hobby progress. I have a wealth of stuff over there. The computer is completely just in boxes right now, upon boxes, upon boxes, upon boxes, upon boxes. I have a whole bunch. And I finally, the super version of the card that I was looking for from Gigabyte, the NVIDIA, finally came in, so I just picked it up. So that's awesome. So while I'm building my computer, I'm looking at my wife's laptop, and hers is like, you know, yeah, it's pretty slow. It's pretty archaic. So I'm looking to update hers as well. It's just like, hey, I need a new computer too. I'm like, yeah, we're going beyond that. So I'm going to tell you about this, and why I'm mentioning this is Amazon Prime Days was going on, and they were selling the exact computer that I was looking for, and it was supposed to be on there for 3 days to be able to get it. And I had 34 hours left on the 3 days in which I'd be able to get it, right? And then they just like took it off. I think they sold out, but it still says that it's in stock, but at a much higher price now. And I don't get it. How does that work? You know, Amazon Prime deals, I was about to pick it up. I was looking forward to picking it up tonight even for her. And yeah, I don't know, the deal just went away. It's like, goodbye. Anyway, it's the Helios, it's a Acer Helios 300, 15-inch, and right now, as far as video cards, as far as processor you get, the fan, battery life is about 5 hours under a lot of strain, but you know, that's okay. I am livable with that, but they have a PCIe slotted memory solid state drive, so it's quick. There's not a lot of it, so I'll probably upgrade it with a Samsung Pro NVE solid state drive SSD. Well, actually, no, it's NVE ME, the card, right? So I could just update a terabyte to that, and they'll definitely solve that issue right there. But she'll get a lot more performance out of that. Not that she's a gamer. I mean, she does do a lot of watching videos and doing things like that, and it would perform amazing for tasks like that. So really looking for getting that computer for her, saving up on the side to do that. Going to a play tomorrow, because summer, I get to do things, right? Maybe I can incorporate some pieces of the play to a motif on my models. See, one of the things that I do is I go out into the world and I look at something and I say, that's beautiful, how can it translate into my art? You know, also look at things and say, well, how can I use this in my classroom for my lessons? All the time. I like look through the world through these lenses. The lenses of a teacher, the lens of a miniature painter, the lens of a content creator, the lens of almost a cinematographer, I guess, and a lens of a photographer, because I do love taking pictures. I love snapping pictures, looking at aesthetic beauties. It increases my eye, like my artistic eye to see things. I was always told that I had a good eye for photography, and I've been told that I have a good eye when it comes to, you know, conceptualizing things and picking up things. So I've always had that, and I'm looking forward to really get back into a lot of that stuff too. Using that eye, seeing things, incorporating it into your minis is something you should do. Like, definitely. There's a bonus tip right there. Right. Whoa. I'm not done. So, this Saturday, my boy Scott, man, the man is the man. I mean, he has an armoire of shame. Because, you know, wall is not enough. He did not give me this box. Well, I mean, he gave me the box, but he didn't give me all the contents. He did buy, I believe he bought 2 of these boxes, and he didn't want the Land Raiders anymore, and he said, I'm not really going to paint them, so he gave me 2 Land Raiders in this box. I don't even own a Land Raider. Bro. And he's modest, too. He's like, thanks, no problem. You're welcome. That's it. Not a big deal. But it's a huge deal. Are you kidding me? That's amazing. I got 2 tanks? What? You don't understand. In my life, people give me this much, usually. Big goose eggs until about, since I started this community, I really didn't get a lot. And I don't expect things at all from anyone. I just worked really hard. That's all I can do, right? But when people give you stuff and they're kind, I don't kindness, for me? Okay, thank you. It blows my mind. I'm so humbled by it. So wow. Okay. All right. So yeah. And this just kind of happened because this just kind of happened. Nothing to see here. Nope. Nothing to see here. Nope. What is this? Oh, well, this is the fun. Because, don't have enough nights. No, ain't got that. Actually got to pick these up separately and just so I got hooked up with that. Brother, these guys right here. I wonder if it has to harpoon my character. Probably not. Probably not that one, but that's okay. I mean, it's still cool. I got to do one of these bad boys too and add it to my Space Wolf. I think he's going to be the one, because the one I'm working on right now, the knight that I'm working on right now is going to be Ragnar Blacksmane's bodyguard. Here's a concept behind that. Each Wolf Lord, since Hawkshroud was so impressed with the nobility or the honor of the Space Wolves, that they impressed him so much that they actually assigned one of these knights to be the King's Guard, so to speak. So each of the Wolf Lords get a knight. And the one I did had Ragnar Blacksmane regalia. I have Wolf Lord Crumb's regalia, the actual decals, whatever you want to call it. To me, it's Maya. it's Tamia. No, it's Tamaya. Tamaya. Somebody said it was Tamaya. Yeah, but I've been saying it for 40 years, Tamia. 40 years. That's hard to absolve, just because and people say decals and decals, and it used to bother me, and I'm like, I am way too uptight, Anywho, but this guy right here, I think he's going to be Logan Grimnar's personal. Yeah, I think so. It's going to be his bad boy right there. Anywho, it's still going to be in my Space Wolves army, so yeah, they're going to have some firepower going on there. Maybe I'll do a video tutorial on how to build a Knight Titan. It'll only take maybe a year of every single video of me continuing the process of building this Knight Titan. Or I can actually do a couple of 100 hours. That would probably take the year to upload and render. Anyway, apocalypse. Alright, we got that Knight. And they hooked me up at Your Hobby Place for teaching that class. We really do. It's amazing. Wouldn't be able to get that if it wasn't for Your Hobby Place. So there. So yeah, there you go. There's all the hobby progress. Isn't that something? See, all this effort that I've been putting, all these things that I've been home now is about equal to the Knight, and I'm still thinking about the Knight. Stop thinking about the Knight, Rob. Take a break from it. Come back with fresh eyes. All right. News. Yeah, so Warcry came out, and I'm loving that terrain. I'm loving the terrain for the Sigmarite Ruins. I'm loving that terrain too. It is amazing. And I'm having a lot of fun putting together terrain and building terrain. It is detailed, but it's not as detailed as the models, because I don't want it to overshadow the models. But, I have fun with them because it's it's less intense. It's just less intense and just fun. Certain things are intense, but yeah, less intense and fun. To me, it's awesome. Warcry. Man, that terrain looks amazing. And it comes with 2 warbands, right? I don't know all the details about that, but it looks really exciting. It looks really cool. I think that is going to be. I don't know. I don't know, or it might be. Maybe it's on its own entity. I mean, it does have its little, chips and whatever and cards and stuff like that. I was gonna say it's gonna be the more of the kill team version of Warhammer Fantasy. I mean Warhammer Age of Sigmar, but I think it's just its own thing. I think it's on its own thing. The models are sweet, to look upon, and I mean, but that whole terrain thing is pretty cool. And me, I like a table full of terrain. So there it is. So when I do battle reports, I have terrain. I have a whole bunch of terrain down here, and I need to get to, but that's for another time. Yep, I'm taking a break from terrain after I finish the Garden of War, which I started last year when my airbrush died. So there you go, coming full circle. In fact, once I'm done with this, all the terrain that I built last summer will be done officially. It took me only a year to get that through between projects. And then I have to do Wolf Lord Crumb, and I have to do Murder Fang. All right, I'll finish that Boxy Dread right there. Part of me is excited about doing the Boxy Dread. Part of me is like, it's a Boxy Dread. I don't know. I only have so many hours in my life. Do I really want to spend it doing a Boxy Dread? So I think it's not going to really take too long, Compared to Night Titan, it's not going to take long at all. So there's that. There's that. Tutorials, hopefully, if all works out. Alrighty. Now let's get into our question of the week animation. All right. I'm going to get some After Effects so I can do animations on that. Question from the week comes from Wolf Brother Mythos. He wanted to expand on last week's question of the week, and he said, well, I went down the journey of all the models that I painted and what I've learned from each one and why I think that is the best model for which things, for the things that, for the Space Wolves. But he said, just overall, just the figure, just the cast, which is my favorite model of the Space Wolves. 30K would have to be Russ. Yeah, that's pretty epic. Yeah, Russ. Yeah, but if I had to do a current 40K model, it's tough for me. There's no one model that I'm really like saying, oh my gosh, I can't wait to paint that one. Except for, well, it doesn't exist already. So if they came up with a new Russ, then that would be definitely it. If they came out with a Loyalist Primard and made it Russ, then I would be flipping overjoyed because that would be it right there. Just the anticipation of what that would look like would be, and I know what GW can do. Yeah, I think that would be definitely what I'm smiling right now just thinking about it, right? That would definitely make my year. Make my like, okay, there you go. There's my excitement for the year. I got Russ. I'm really, really happy. But aside from that, man, I don't know. Harold Deathwolf is pretty cool, and that's pretty cool. I like the way he kind of like flies in. I like that cavalry look. I know you're a fan of the cavalry as well. I think that no Space Wolves should be riding those chunky bikes because they just don't. I don't like the aesthetic of the bikes at all. So I don't have any. They much. It's much better if they're riding those wolves. So yeah, getting that cavalry in, that's pretty cool. So I guess Harold Deathwolf would be cool. If they made a cool Ragnar Blackmane, that would be it too. Like, I don't know, that would be like, I guess the top three that I would like. If they came out with a new Rust, that would definitely take the top spot. If they came out with a new Ragnar Blackmane, which is, my man, definitely would be that. But since the only one that I can think about right now, it would be Harold Deathwolf. Only because, it's just so dynamic, the pose. He's on a wolf. He is a space wolf. And it's just like Wolfie Wolfenton McWolfie. I don't know. I love it. I love it. So, yeah. Okay. So, if that were going to be the two, it would be Yeah. Yeah, there you go. There you go. You got it. See? See? You got an answer out of me when it comes to that. Although, I gotta say, I love all the Spaceballs, man. I love them all. I do. I do. It's my first 40K army. Yeah, my first army was Legions of Nagash for AOS for the whole Games Workshop route. That was going to be it. So Legions of Nagash, all the Function of Death, was my first, and then I got into Space Wolves only because of Battle Force box, and there you go. So it's been that way ever since. All right, so there's the question of the week, and it is complete. Oh wait, computer hobby progress. I got a Tascam. Um, I got a Tascam audio recorder. Yeah, so I can record audio in an inline kind of, have a little adjust the audio and really make it, really nice. So yeah, and I didn't even bring that to the table. I didn't bring it over here. I mean, I could leave and get it, but I don't want to leave you. So there was some computer hobby progress right there. Oh my goodness. I'll you know what? I'll show it next week if I can remember. Um, so today's show is going to be about a topic that one show can't just do justice. I think that it would be covered by several shows. In fact, I'd like to open this up to content creators, whoever feels comfortable with, making people aware of, depression. A lot of people don't understand that a lot of content creators on YouTube, especially in our hobby, I've noticed, have at one point suffered a really, really like depressive episodes. And I'm going to mention some people who actually already came out in their videos and said that they did. Nick Beer, he indicated he was saved by Slanesh. Awesome. Check out his channel. Keep up with the wonders of Warhammer 40K. Idic Beer. He's just Idic Beer 40K. Excellent channel. Excellent dude. Nick is amazing. Formed a group called the Unification Group, which actually has a whole bunch of starting YouTubers, and he supports that, and he wants you to publish your videos on that site. And, there's pretty awesome community right there. So yeah, he mentioned that he battled through depressive episodes, and he was saved by Slanesh. And I think I'm gonna have each one of these YouTubers on to talk about specifically depression and how they got over it. And it's gonna be like interview with these YouTubers. I think that would be an interesting topic that I'm going to do. All right, another one is Kirioth. I don't know if he's willing to. He's a pretty big channel. Awesome guy too, from what I know. Has a lot of stuff. Says the way it is. He cusses, but that's his thing. Might have him on the show. Politely ask him not to cuss. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. Carry off. He stated that he suffered with depression and it's been battling, and I want to know what it's like, to put yourself out there and getting all the comments and the feeds there. There's a lot of trollers out there that if you're going through a depressive episode as a YouTuber, they tell you not to take that stuff personally, but it hurts. If you're out to hurt people, that kind of hurts sometimes. And then you get over it and say, you know what, it's okay. I feel bad for those people who want to hurt other people in order to make themselves feel good because they're hurting worse than I am, or whoever it is that's, they're trying to hurt. Hurt people hurt other people. It's just a chain reaction. It's just what happens. I noticed that in sociology when I analyze and, break down people's personality. Okay, I paid attention in psychology. What can I tell you? It's a psychosis. There's several people who battle via depression and that are YouTubers that are in our hobby, and I think it's good to make people aware of depression and how people go through it and how to respond to people. A lot of people don't even know how to respond to people who are going through a depressive episode, and they don't know what to do or what to say, because it's like no matter what you say or do, they get into their head so much that it feels like nothing is getting through, but you you can't you have eyelids that can shut your eyes, but you can't shut your ears unless you put your fingers in there. And I don't recommend you taste them or paint with the wax. And anyway, you may seal a letter. I don't know. It's so gross. So yeah, so I really want to get into the details and have YouTubers come on and talk about their depressions. Um, there's a couple others, but I don't think they come out and said anything on YouTube. So I'm not going to shout them out at this point, but I will invite them discreetly, see if they want to talk more about it. Because for every YouTube personality that comes out and says that they've suffered through depression, you have at least 100 people in our hobby that are saying, yeah, me too. In fact, if you look at the videos and where they come out and say that they've suffered with depression, you'll see so many people in our hobby just come up, yeah, me too, me too, it just, so many people, it seems like, and reading through all those comments, and yeah, not only do I watch the video, but I read through other people's comments. I guess that's trolling. It's an educational process. I did a lot of research. I have several pages like that, and I write really small. All right, I write 2 lines per line, but so I can fit it into one page. Hear all the flipping and flopping of the paper so much. Anyway, there's so many people, and I do a lot of research for these topics to bring you something of value. As I say, stop saying a lot of people are suffering with this in our hobby, and I think people need to be aware of this and grow a sensitivity towards it to the point that they can be more helpful to other people. Establish a community of kindness instead of establishing a community of hate. And it's really weird because it's wargaming. You would think that you're just gonna foster hate because it's war, but it's not like that at all. For the people who are tuning into this channel who don't wargame and they're just confused by what it is, it's a friendly match of trying to strategize your way and adding a bit of a luck element to it in a game that looks hecka cool because it's 3D. It's like, and you don't have to, look through a screen to see it. It's literally palpable in front of you, and it's amazing, and it's hard to describe why you would want to invest so much into a hobby. But once you see it and play with fully painted miniatures on a fully painted background, this is why I want to do battle reports, really, because I want to bring that element to it. I want people to see, not that it's tournament style or game breaking stuff, but that might be down the road because I do know quite a few people who can play to that level. But my thing for this channel would be from the perspective of, you've never seen a war game before. I'm going to show you a really cool dynamic war game, and I'll do camera angles and really get into the presentation of the war game itself to really entice newer players. I really do want to entice newer players to come into our wargaming hobby as well. So get back to topic. Let's talk a little bit about depression itself. So in this episode, it's going to be just the introductory of what depression kind of is, and wrap a handle. And please post comments down, and we're going to keep this conversation going. The more information I get from you guys, the more I can present back onto when we're talking about what I feel is a really important topic that we should discuss as a community. So so there's a lot of different aspects to depression when you're depressed. There's a lot of characteristics and exhibition of different kind of characteristics that you show when you're depressed. But it's more than just the symptoms. It's the repetitive nature of not enjoying things. It's the repetitive nature of constantly bashing yourself. It's the repetitive nature of never giving yourself credit for anything because you don't feel you deserve it. It's the repetitive, and I'm saying repetitive so many times because if it just happened one time where you felt bad about something, it doesn't really lend itself to depression. This is something like a life switch that somebody left on. It's the depression channel all day, every day. And some days are worse than others, but it's just constant. Constant. I just say there have been times in my life that I've also suffered from depression, coming from a family who we were on the welfare system. We didn't have a lot of money. I was Italian Puerto Rican growing up in the streets of New York, and Brooklyn. And back in the 80s and 90s when there was graffiti in there, those stories of gangs walking around, smaller gangs going in, actually looking for fights and getting into trouble, that was real. That happened. It happened in my neighborhood. I was frightened to walk to the corner to get some milk for the family because I didn't know which other block group or gang would come in and completely decimate me. And take your sneakers off, tie it in a rope, throw it onto a lamppost. Now you don't have those brand new sneakers. And if your family can't afford new sneakers, guess what? You ain't got new sneakers. You got your holy ones or hand-me-downs or some sneakers that other people threw away. It's the way it was. So economically, when growing up, I was faced with a lot of different challenges that a lot of people weren't. And some people were, you know. But going from that background with a lot of stress and of social stress, I went to school and I tried to just measure up with people, and there was just no way I could even compete. I did learn one thing through the school of hard knocks, though, is to apply myself. And if you want something in this life, you don't wait for it to come to you. You work at it until you get it, no matter what. Interesting story I've heard before, and I don't know who to credit for this one, but a rich man actually goes and asks, well, a poor man goes and asks this rich inspirational speaker, how do you become a millionaire? I said, come to the beach and I'll show you. And he goes into the beach, progressively gets deeper and deeper, and he says, do you still want it? Yeah. Do you still want it? Yeah. Goes deeper up to the neck, and then he just tries to drown the person. And the fervor and the franticness of trying to escape just so you can breathe because he was about to die, he comes up and he's like really upset. So why'd you do that for? It's like, you know how badly you needed air? That's how hard you need to work towards your goal in order to achieve it. Like breathing. Like frantically breathing or on the precipice of death. That's how much you have to work in order to achieve your goal. And that kind of stuck with me. Maybe that's a bit of an extreme an example, but that's kind of stuck with me, and it got me through a lot of what I thought was not possible. And I forgot to plug this in, so it might die, and I don't want it to die, so I'm just going to do that while I'm speaking to you. I know, totally professional here, but I need to. So yeah, I've gone through episodes of my life where I thought that, I was not worth it. Mainly because I looked at myself in my lens and everything that I did or did not achieve in my life, I put that precipice on it that I would die if I didn't accomplish this one thing, this almost impossible feat. Like in my neighborhood, it was highly unlikely that anyone finished high school and then went to college and graduated college. In fact, my high school teacher, my science teacher, I'm not going to say who it was, said I would never graduate high school. And so I have 2 master's degrees. I graduated 3 times from college. Only because. Because, right? So, dealing with that, I suffered through a lot of depression, abusive family life when I was growing up, violated in inappropriate ways kind of abuse, and then physically attacked and beaten to bloody pulps, that kind of abuse. So, going through that, set of 4 challenges in my life that I had, hurdles that I had to overcome, and I never knew a time in my life where I wasn't fighting and struggling to succeed at anything. It's always been that way. It got to the point where I pulled myself up with my bootstraps so many times that I led myself into a marriage, a loveless marriage, to the point where we were going through a divorce, and I thought that I was going to end it. And in doing so, um, oh, I was about to. My mother called me and she brought me into church, and you know, I went that route, and it changed my life forever. And gave me perspective, and I highly encourage it. You know, I highly encourage that. So that led me into a lot of things, and doing that and changing my life led me into something that actually bring me joy. In fact, before I was depressed, um, I actually thought of, painting miniatures in the 90s, and it brought me some happiness for a little while, but it was short lived. And then, I had to move out and sell all my minis that I had bought. So it really brought me down again. And I hadn't touched it until recently. And I say recently, I was saying in the last 3 years. Um, and so the journey for me, going from hard life to struggling my entire life to completely collapsing, because there's only so much fighting you can do your entire life before that catches up to you, and then giving up control of my life to church and turning my life around, enabling me to be successful at life, open doors that normally wouldn't have opened, and to be able to do all this stuff. It just changed my life forever. But that's my depression and what I've dealt with. But let's talk about depression in our hobby in general with other people as well. Um, ARS Technica, if you ever see it, it's a website, and I'll put a link in the description. Um, it says that I have suicidal depression, and that's the way he started off his paper, which is amazing. I mean, not amazing that you have it, but that's just the impactful way to start things, and that's what I'm saying. I'm thinking of literary terms as amazing way to start things. Excellent hook. And Board Games Has Saved My Life by Lawrence Kirkby. And guys, that is the title of the article. And I'll summarize that one. He inflicted self-harm as a reward. He hid his pain. He masked himself to other. And a lot of people don't realize that when you're living with depression, you act a certain way in certain situations. You put a mask on, so this way nobody can notice your pain, your suffering. You smile. In fact, you do so well at acting. Sometimes you're that social butterfly around the room. Hey, how you doing? Yay, what's going on? I haven't seen you in forever. And the smiles and everything else, because you got so good. You became so well at acting that the mask is so palpable that nobody will ever see it coming when, it all ends. So he started off with board games. I'm going to talk a little bit about board games. Because he started with Monopoly, the game, and he forgot how to be happy. He didn't remember what happiness was. That's another thing too. When you don't have happiness for such a long time, you kind of forget. It's sort of like I don't know. It's like sort of the dance move, or if you're driving a car, if you haven't driven a car in like 100 years, I don't know. That's a long time, isn't it? 10 years, and you forget where the blinkers are. I don't know. Something like that. You can forget what happiness is if you haven't experienced it in so long. It becomes a memory. He discovered the game Twilight Imperium. He even watched the game being played on YouTube. He discovered many more games, which turned a monochrome life into color, added variety to it. The games offered freedom within the construct of framework, supplied a sense of order. Board games helped his depression, or at least put him on the road to recovery. It was then that he found Board Games a Cafe, where he met a great group of people. And a lot of people don't realize also that when people are suffering with depressive anxiety or depression, a lot of social anxiety plays into that. Like depression isn't just one diagnosis; usually ties into a whole bunch of things. Mine PTSD with my traumatized youth, it plays in with that as well. So there's so many things that play into it. And anxiety, so especially social anxiety, can be crippling. Crippling. You don't want to leave the house anymore. Crippling. You don't even want to sleep all the time. Crippling. These are all signs. You jape at ending things. Crippling. So getting out to a cafe or to a hobby store when they have events, given that social component to it, definitely helps combat that depression. Geek and Sundry put out a nice article, RPG therapy. So we're going from board games, we're going to go into RPGs, role-playing games for people who don't know, like D&D. Therapy for Kids is real, and Pathfinder. I don't want to exclude them too. Go 3.5. Therapy for Kids is a real thing, and it works. And that is the title, and it's by Adam Davis and Adam Johns, who are committed to helping. It's by Rebecca Kibadu. I think it's Canadian. Adam Davis and Adam John are committed to helping kids and teens build social skills with tabletop gaming. They indicate that RPGs can help them become more confident and creative, socially capable. Check out the wheelhouseworkshop.com. They're no longer private sessions being run by them, but they've got a non-profit organization called Games to Grow. And if you think about it, if you think of things in terms of a character, then you're not really putting the onus on yourself. So you're not talking about yourself, but you would think, what would the character do? How would they react to this social situation? So, RPGs with that become scenarios in which you can do that. And wargaming RPGs, they're a thing. If you go to mini wargaming, they have that as well. So you definitely have RPGs and using that as a means of therapy to help work out or talk about issues that are repressed or something like that. Some of the depression happens because of repression of memories that you don't want to deal with, but they're hanging over you. They never leave. So this is why the repetitiveness of depression comes into play, because you never resolve certain issues. And if you don't resolve an issue, then it'll just fester and become worse or more prominent in your life. So a lot of times I've noticed that having all these repressed issues, if you have an issue, it's always best to deal with it now before it turns into a Papa Nurgle problem later, festering and becoming like the Gardener Nurgle. Right? It was only a blister. It was only a blister. Anyway. Okay, so now that's the gaming part or aspect of how I feel that games can actually help you on a social level. All right, going to a game store, meeting people. I know this weekend, I look forward to going to my painting class, not only to teach my painting, but now there's like these group of guys and gals that come in, and it's like, I feel accepted. I feel like one of the pack, It's pretty awesome to feel a part of something larger than yourself. And that really helps when you're fighting depression, to feel a part of something bigger than just yourself and getting in your own head constantly and constantly trashing yourself. But having other people find self-worth in you that you didn't even see or you can't see because your blinders are on. But if you hear that, again, you cannot really you can shut your eyes, but you really can't shut your ears. So you hear that, and if you hear it enough times, you hear anything enough times, you start believing it. And if you hear positivity enough times, it'll start sticking. So definitely with a war game. Plus, the strategic part of it, if you're like me, I'm always thinking scenarios. I'm always running scenarios in my head, like socially. So if someone asks me, well, should we go out to dinner tonight, and should we take my nephews? then my instinct is like, yeah, nephews. And then I'm like, maybe they would enjoy more of a chunky cheese kind of environment than um, a French bistro kind of environment. So, and I have to think and weigh which is closer, and then I do ratios with gas and stuff like that. So my mind is constantly going and going and going and thinking scenarios. What's the best thing to say in a situation when someone is upset? How can I de-escalate that? What's the best way to approach a situation where it is touch and go and very sensitive? And how can I approach that? And I get a lot of that in the classroom where I have a disgruntled student who had a really bad experience in a class before mine, but they come into mine and they're like, oh, like they're just ready, they're triggered and ready to explode. The pin is out of that pineapple and they are ready to explode. And I have to diffuse the situation, put that pin back, and, you know, that kind of thing. You have to really look at body language and everything else, start reading a lot of things and thinking about scenarios. And that's how my mind would work. But sometimes you need to get out of your own head, because that kind of thinking, especially when you're thinking at that magnitude of all about and the theme of that magnitude, with the theme being self-destruction, yeah, you can see how that can turn into a bad situation really quickly. All right, so let's talk about the actual building and the painting and how therapeutic that is for you if you have depression. Another article that I read, Artist Network, Why We Paint, Art as Therapy by Richard McKinley, written in 2002. He says, the day I realized that no matter if I if I didn't sell another painting, if I never got into an exhibition, or if I never won another prize, I'd still paint. I feel exactly the same way. Like, if I've never won a competition, if I've never gotten accolades, if people didn't say, wow, that's a great paint job, I'd still paint. Because I love it. Painting supplies a certain kind of nutrients to the human soul. I love the way he plays with words with this one. Right? Painting overrides a conduit of emotional release. So you have a conduit to express yourself. You have a banner, what are you going to do with it? Even if it's a simple design that you've seen and you're trying to recreate. And so anything you want to resolve on the flat panel surfaces, doing a bouquet of just weird shapes, being non-symmetrical, and just having fun with it, because that's a lot of easy. You know, if it's non-symmetrical, you don't have to worry about it, right? So it's easy. If you're making symmetry, on the other hand, it's kind of tough, because your eye kind of want to draw and make the symmetry. I'm overanalyzing again. Get out of my own head. Stop thinking about the night. All right. So it's painting is currently being utilized for therapy and rehabilitation. So it's actually currently happening. Oil painting. Why can't it be miniature painting? In other words, let's say you bought that army. You kind of want to have it, on the table, but you don't feel like painting it. So why can't we go into an institution, some kind of building, like it could be a health center or something like that. I was going to say institution, but that's totally negative connotations. But even maybe then, right? And let's bring in the chaos gods into an institution. Let's see what that happens, right? Go Cthulhu. But let's say you have an army and you go into some kind of rehabilitation center, and part of the rehabilitations is to paint one of your minis. Yeah. Of course, they might want to keep it. There's that. But, maybe you have a little painting studio, right? Oh, no, that sounds terrible. All right, I'm going to retract that. Getting sick people to paint your minis ever since 2019. That's horrible. Horrible. I'd be one of them. Okay, so I do want to read this article, the 10 health benefits of painting 2015 from Health Fitness Revolution. Found this interesting as well. It says it improves the concentration. Okay, so painting improves your concentration. And if you've ever focused in on tiny details or edge highlighting, you know exactly what I'm talking about, where you focus in and it improves. You're practicing concentrating for many hours on a project, so it'll improve that. You only improve the things you exercise, so concentration definitely improves if you're miniature painting. All right. Sharpen your fine motor skills. Everybody knows that you have to make little movements on your brush to get like any kind of brocade or something, especially if you're painting miniature areas. The eyes of the miniatures, you know what I'm talking about here, okay? Fine motor skills. Again, practicing that, getting better at it because you're using them. It's a good way to relax. You're not thinking about the stresses of the day. You're thinking about how to convert a Primaris Ragnar Blackmane. Or maybe that's just me. It promotes knowledge of various cultures. Yeah, you can. It can. But think about it. The lore of 40K and Age of Sigmar. These are all cultures of fantasy. Also, the culture of, the culture of the piece, the setting, doing a base to match what that army represents. So matching the lore and being a physicality to that. Boost creativity. I mean, yeah, all kinds of creativity. What color are you? What color scheme are you going to paint your army? What basing materials are you going to be using? How is it going to look? Like, what is the final product going to look in your mind, and how are you going to make that turn into what the finished product is, or at least close? Nonverbal communication skills. All right, so if you're expressing yourself via your painting, using your brush strokes, glazing, what techniques you're using. I love glazing. A lot of what I do is pre-shading, undershading, and then glazing. A lot of things, that's the way I paint. It's the way I like to paint, but a lot of people lean towards using wet blending more than I would personally, although I do sometimes. Some people use other techniques more than I do, and it shows up in their final product, what they cater to, right? What it looks like. So definitely nonverbal communication skills, moving through the medium in which you're painting. Okay. Critical thinking skills. I mean, that is strategizing on the table, obviously. You can strategize on the table, you're doing critical thinking skills, but, losing your color wheel to solve the problem of what paints should I use in order to make this pop. Critical thinking skills. And I really like that because there's educational value to critical thinking skills, which we always try to have students think critically about an item, give their opinion about it, but not only just an opinion, but opinion based on something, based on fact. So if you're going to make a decision on how to paint your Nurgle army and which direction you're going to do, and you're using the lore as the fact, the reinforcer for that thing that you're trying to create, it improves your critical thinking skills, makes you a critical thinker. See? Brain power. Perseverance. I think we all have experienced this unless you're completely new. You're painting infantry, right? And you're on guy 15 and you see you have 40 to finish. Perseverance. Painting a Night Titan for a competition or any kind of piece for a competition. You invest, many hours into it. Perseverance, right? Seeing things to the end. Self-confidence. This comes when you finish a miniature. It can be external, where other people say, wow, you put it up on Facebook, and you go into the Miniatures Paintbrush Legion and post it up there, and you get everybody's like, wow, I really like this about it. I really like that about it. Self-confidence. Hey, you know what? I'm going to do the same thing over, but I'm going to change something. And then people say, any criticism or constructive criticism and stuff like that. Yeah, you know what? This is great, but you could really up the contrast by doing this. Or you should just add some edge highlighting by doing this. Or, and, there's that as well. And it makes you confident to be able to ask for help. A lot of people who suffer from depression, they don't like to ask for help. They figure they're the one with the problem. They don't want to bother anybody else or bring anybody down with their problem. But doing that CNC, that basic little thing, that little you can do on an online site and get that feedback back in a positive way, it can change someone's life and give them confidence and gives you a positive mindset. The community is so that a lot mostly everybody that I've ever been in the community is very encouraging. They're encouraging because it's foolish not to be in this hobby. This is a niche hobby. If you're not encouraging to other people to join the hobby, then you're just going to isolate yourself or isolate other people or take people out of the hobby. And then your hobby will be the way of the railroader. It's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. People are going to die off and nobody's going to be playing your game except for you. Ha ha ha, you're the king of nothing. See, that's what happens. All right, so it behooves you to be inclusive. So have that positive mindset, or else. No. Finally, I was actually writing a paper for school project because I'm taking a class that I have to take in Maryland to retain my teaching license. You still go to college. It doesn't end, right? So I was reading the American Psychological Association because it's what I do in spare time. Just gotta read that. Family, economic stress, and personal finances constraint affect emotional distress and depression. I never thought of it in that aspect. Like, I knew that I would have PTSD from my childhood, but I never knew that it would be a cause of depression. I thought they were, for a long time, separate entities that played together, but still separate entities. But they really do intermingle on a lot of different levels. And that affirmed it because, I was just reading through and it's like, wow, okay. So don't think that you're alone in this. That's a big takeaway from today. Don't think you're the only one that suffers through depressive episodes. Don't think you're the only one that can do it. But there's something you can do about that. There's a lot of encouraging people. You can go the route that I went to and go to church and do those kinds of things as well, which is really positive. I encourage you to do that. And you can paint. And you can see a light at the end of the tunnel. And you can have hope. Be positive, uplifting to others. They're uplifting to you because it's like a boomerang. And share what you know with others. I mean, I love doing this channel. Not because, I'm getting income from this. I'm not. I like doing this channel because I like to share with this community, which is amazing. I love the people. I love the hobby because I love the people involved in it. And I love getting better. I love learning. As a teacher, you become someone who loves to learn. Because the more I know, the more I can teach. And if I love teaching, see how cyclical that is? Anyway, I feel like I'm that commercial. It's like, and then I do more education so I can teach more, so I can learn more, so I can have more information, so I can teach more. It's a big circle. That was a bad commercial. Master of Puppets have to say something about that. Anywho, Master. All right. Go Metallica. So this topic that I went over to today is just literally the tip of the iceberg. It's just getting in your mind that you're not the only one if you're feeling this way. Getting in your mind that in this hobby, a lot of people are suffering from this. And a lot of people are not talking about it. When I feel that we need to talk about it. I need to be something that we can come together as a community and maybe battle it together. This community is a small community in comparison to other communities, but there's advantages to that. One being that it's intimate. And being that there has that intimacy, you can actually share things with other people that you normally wouldn't do on a larger scale. So there you go. Benefits to being in each hobby right there. Okay. All right. Well, I need to catch you next time, so you have to be around next time for me to catch you. But if you leave a question down there. I need questions for question of the week. But if you like this video, like, share, and positively subscribe. And we'll catch you next time on the Miniatures Paintbrush.